The Great Hunt is an awesome book. I recommend it as a read. Robert Jordan comes back with his typical writing style, and it remains the same as The Eye of the World, which is the previous novel, and the epic adventure continues. Hi, my name's Craig. In this video I'm reviewing The Great Hunt, which is the second book in the Wheel of Time series. Let's start with no spoilers. Cool, Robert Jordan's back with his typical writing style. He's highly descriptive and makes things clear while also leaving some things to mystery. I love when he writes from a character's point of view, their POV, then you get to know a little more about how they think and feel. He's so good at this that his writing style influences how you perceive other characters. For example, in the previous book, I felt that I couldn't trust Moiraine, and the reason I felt that was because her actions were written from the view of other characters. In The Great Hunt, we get a chapter from the POV of Moiraine, and we get to see a better understanding of her internal thoughts and motives. There's a lot of character development in this book and dynamic relationships. The characters in the first book become much more fleshed out, and we get to understand more about Loial's backstory and see how he relates to his own people. The magic system is revealed a lot more, and we still get a bunch of reveals for different types of magic as well. Robert Jordan's writing style continues to impress me. He's good at revealing information at the right time without changing the pace too much. Something will happen and you'll be wondering what caused it, and then it'll be explained a little later. Or there will be a lull in the action, so you get to learn more about a character or about a people or a land area or a region. I feel he balances the action scenes with the character development excellently. Even in scenes where there is dialogue, he's able to set up a spoken and unspoken tension within the room. I feel this book has a stronger horror component to it than The Eye of the World. There are more gruesome scenes and scenes of physical and psychological torture. It helps to set the level of danger that the characters are getting into, which is good. The next section has spoilers in it. If you're going to read The Great Hunt, then you might want to click off the video. So I'm a little put off by the introduction of Selene as a character. Rand and his group should have been much more cautious around her. The only thing I can think of as to why they weren't was because she's beautiful, which is emphasized a lot. That being said, Rand did push back against her remarks about searching for glory by using the Horn of Valere. Also, was the reveal that she's a forbidden one supposed to be a surprise? Because I suspected her the whole time. They found her in a reflection world, and we never got to see her backstory or how she was able to use a portal stone. She was continually pushing Rand towards this idea of glory, and she's a seductress as well. So she's not subtle at all. And in fact, a lot of what the Forbidden do I've seen so far is not subtle, especially from the dark side of things. I'd say the only thing that so far has been particularly subtly sinister is the dagger from Shadar Logoth. Tom's back, boys. His apprentice dies like really soon, which is horrific. You don't really get to know her very much, but she's such a vibrant character. It's like you still feel a loss, at least a little bit, along with Tom. I'm still seeing a developing theme in this book about male and female relationships. The lads are still awkward around women. Rand can't talk around beautiful women and doesn't know what to do when Selene is forward with him. Loial's relationship with his family and the woman among his people shows a motive for him to be running away. He seems a bit more like a recluse. And this male-female theme directly mimics the major theme of Rand running away from his responsibility as a dragon. the dragon. The male-female theme runs deep into the magic system as well. Huron with his sniffing ability, and Perrin being a wolf brother especially. We get to see more of how the magic system works, and we hear that it is at its most powerful when men and women work together. So I'm excited to read about what will the payoff be in the later books. We're seeing more of the dark side of the female Aes Sedai and how they're controlling the men and essentially removing the male parts' powers. We'll learn more about the different Aja and what the philosophy they represent. Red, brown, green and blue. I think there's like yellow and black of course as well. I predict that the male side of the power probably isn't actually tainted, that it's just more misunderstood of sorts. Maybe the issue is that there aren't as many males that can channel, so that those few who do channel somehow get an extra dose. Kind of like the idea with Force in the Star Wars franchise. But we'll see, that prediction may be completely off. Rand is finally taking up the dragon position. He tries to run away from it through the whole book, of course. I was surprised that Matt ended up blowing the horn of Valyr at the end, even though the army still reported to and followed Rand's instruction. It makes me question things about the prophecies that keep turning up and what they mean, especially like what's supposed to happen with the sword in Tear. I was expecting us turning up or the group turning up in Tear at some point, and Ilion, but it hasn't happened yet. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll be resolved in the next book. And there are, of course, hints that prophecies are somewhat loose as to, and that came from Min's advice about how her foretelling abilities kind of work of sorts. So The Great Hunt was a great read. Now, if you would rather listen to the book rather than read it, there are audiobook versions as well. There's one version read by two wonderful narrators, Kate Redding and Michael Kramer. It's the first time I've listened to them, and they're prolific in the audiobook industry. If you want to hear a sample, I'll put a link to the audiobook version below. I'm not sure what the Rosamund Pike narration is like. I listened to a little bit of it and it sounds pretty good, but I can't make a comment as to the entire book, of course. I'm sure it's good as well. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'm loving the Wheel of Time series, and I'm only two books in, so I'm glad that there's so much more that I get to explore. Have a good one.